All right, I am hoping this is coming out the way that I want it to. Otherwise, I'm gonna be right annoyed. So, yeah, two videos today. What are the chances? But I really wanted to touch on this specific subject, and that subject is efficiency and damage per peck. I've watched a couple of Stevie B videos, and he is very much in the camp that damage per peck affects efficiency, even though that goes against what MindArk has said. And the reason why I'm making this is because I've seen quite a few of my subscribers commenting on these videos saying that it's brilliant advice and it all makes sense and blah blah blah. But I'm here to say that sadly, even though I like some of Stevie B's content, when he's wrong, he doesn't admit it. And he just doubles down on his wrongness, right? But so I guess in Stevie B's eyes, I'm going to be a hater or whatever, but I really need to clarify this for my subscribers and all that sort of stuff. But like with everyone, you should take what I say with a grain of salt. But I'm just going to bring you the evidence and show you what's been written, what has been said by MindArk officials, and how things look, like actual look. So I'm going to bring up a couple of things. First, I'm going to bring up a comment on Stevie B's video, which comes from a guy called Josh Roberts. Now, will this come up on ye old thing? Ah, good, it does. It does. Let me just zoom in a bit for you. Efficiency isn't tied to any other number. It's a value set by MindArk, and they can make it anything. That's not to say it's completely random. Keep that in mind. Often higher DPS gear does in fact have higher DPP and efficiency too. So there's something to say about damage per second. And I think that's because you're able to kill a mob quicker and they don't get to heal as quick, okay? But this is to make the higher end weapons more desirable, and this is the thing. And I'll talk about this afterwards. It's a progression incentive, not something that's hard coded to produce a certain value. So it's not hard coded. It is a separate parameter to encourage people to grind up and get these better weapons. Now, we're going to have a look at one of MindArk's statements, which comes from the Dev Notes 12. Loot 2.0 follow-up. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this. Economy parameter. Now, soon to be renamed efficiency. So they say that it's one of the most misunderstood features of Loot 2.0. Now keep in mind this was from 2017. And they go on to say that the economy stuff, like the term economy, it was really confusing people. Now you can see the dev note up on the screen so you can pause and read. And this is what they say efficiency does. Efficiency indicates the cost effectiveness of a weapon or weapon attachment in creating damage. Efficiency values range from 1 to 100, and higher values indicate better efficiency. Efficiency is an inherent property of an item and thus is not affected by avatar skill. Weapons that have scopes, lasers, amplifiers, attachments will display a modified efficiency value. Now, a few additional points about efficiency parameter will hopefully clear up many of the questions they had, blah, blah, blah. The efficiency parameter is not affected by avatar skills. We already knew this. The largest component we already know this now. The largest component by far in loot value calculations are costs, such as weapon deterioration, ammo consumption, ammo deterioration, healing costs, etc. Notice that they just said loot value calculations, not loot composition. The efficiency parameter is a relatively small component in loot calculations, no more than 7% of total loot value. The displayed efficiency parameter for a given weapon does not correspond to overall loot return. Also pretty obvious. Optimal loot. How do you get optimal loot, right? To best achieve optimal loot, be sure to have hit ability and damage profession requirements maxed 10 out of 10 on the weapon your avatar is using. Avoid overamping, so don't waste PED, and minimize healing costs and the need to interrupt damage dealing to heal. Because if you heal, the enemy will heal a little bit more as well, so you need to do more damage. In general, and this is the thing, the lower the cost to kill a creature, the higher the proportion of loot composition will be optimal loot. There is no inherent kill timer. Optimal loot is calculated based on cost, not on time. So here's the thing. Optimal loot, your optimal loot composition is calculated based on cost. Now, we're going to look at the link that Josh Roberts linked us. And Fierrel, I guess is the name. He was getting a lot of questions, so he just made this a post. Now, the statements in this were made by a guy named Charlie at Mindark. I'll zoom in a bit just so you can see a bit better. Regarding efficiency and or damage per pack, the efficiency stat on items are not directly tied to its damage per pack. Okay? Straight up. All existing items had their efficiency set based on their current damage per pack. So all the existing items prior to 2.0, when they got their efficiency parameter, it was based on their damage per pack to keep their economy. Okay. The IMK2 was by far the most economic high damage per pack weapon in the game, and therefore now has the highest efficiency. The Swine Deluxe was amongst the least, and therefore has amongst the lowest efficiency. The efficiency does not have to be proportional to the damage per pack of the item, but currently they usually are. So you got to look at this sort of stuff. They're not directly tied to damage per pack. You know, they do not have to be proportional, but they usually are, and there's a reason for that. These are, however, a couple of exceptions to this. There are a couple of exceptions, such as scopes, which have a damage per pack of 0, but they have a fairly high efficiency stat. You can think of those things as just efficiency modifiers. There also seems to be a lot of confusion in regards to what efficiency does. Efficiency has a direct effect on the overall TT returns. It does not directly affect loot composition. There we have it, okay? Straight from Mindark, one of their mouths. And then he said, no, damage per pack and efficiency are not the same thing. Damage per pack affects loot composition and critical hit damage, etc. That all affects damage per pack. Efficiency directly affects average TT returns by 0 to 7%. Now, what do they mean by 0 to 7%? If we were to take it at face value, it means if you were to have something that was 50% efficiency, it would affect the loot composition, not loot composition, but total loot TT value by 3.5%. You know, if we take it at face value. But where are people getting the idea that damage per pack affects the efficiency? Now, all this vague speak of, they usually are, they do not have to be proportional, but they usually are, or efficiency stat is not directly tied to damage per pack. I can see where people like Stevie B have their, are in the camp of no, Mindark is lying to people, damage per pack affects efficiency. But efficiency doesn't determine your stuff. You can turn around and say damage per pack affects efficiency all you want. But here's the thing. It really doesn't. Now, I'm going to show you why I think people believe this. And we're going to do that by looking at the LR series of weapons. Here are the LR series, right? So as you can see, from LR10 all the way up to, the FEN edition stuff, the damage per pack and the efficiency is proportional, 2.945 has a 62.4% efficiency, and then we go up, and, it's all proportional. So people will look and go, oh, it's all proportional. Okay, so damage per pack must affect the efficiency. However, if we were to have a look at this video that I made, which just sort of is just a sliding thing, you can see, right? And let's pause here for a sec. You can see that, you have a 3.281. Now, not looking at any of the other values, like not looking at the costs or anything like that. Keep in mind, damage per pack is affected, right? Damage per pack is affected by decay and your ammunition burn. So damage per peck is literally, as it says, how much damage do I deal per peck spent. So when Stevie B tried to made his video and tried to claim that the reason why a weapon would have higher or lower efficiency based on, all of this different stuff, it's straight up, it's bullshit. Straight up, it's bullshit. It was a bullshit argument, and anyone that understands what damage per peck is, which I thought Stevie B did. I thought it was an obvious thing that damage per peck is the amount of peck you spend per damage, or how much damage you deal per one peck. For in this case, from the A3 Justifier Mark II, Ancient Improved, and the Standard Improved, there's a little bit more decay. Okay, there's a little bit more decay on the Improved as opposed to the Ancient Improved. Therefore, it has a little bit more damage per peck for the Ancient Improved compared to the Standard Improved. So, damage per peck is calculated based on the decay of the weapon and the ammunition cost. Okay? And as you can see, just from the varied things of damage per peck, it varies wildly versus especially in the upper end, it varies wildly compared to the efficiency. So no, damage per peck is not is not the cause of the efficiency. Now you might be thinking, well, what the fuck causes the efficiency then? Now we could go off the idea that it is a random thing just slapped on there, but I'm going to go off of the idea that it's not so much that it's completely random. I think they do kind of look at the different stuff to determine the value, but then they look at other things like, okay, how rare is this item? Where did they get this item from? Is there a version of this item that is much better? And I think that's how they will determine things. Like, is there a version of this item that has the same damage per peck but is much rarer? Or is there two separate items? Or this one you can get, whenever, and it has a thing of 3.3 damage per peck. But this one is super rare, and it's also a 3.3 damage per peck. But let's bump up the efficiency so it makes sense for people to want to grind it. That is why I think it has it, okay? If we have a look, you can continue to see that the efficiency fucking varies wildly, 3.89 compared to 3.28. It varies horrifically wildly, so we can't really determine this shit, okay? It's really difficult to determine all of this stuff, okay? So when it comes to just overall stuff, keep this in mind. And I'm gonna tell you this from what I have seen, what I believe to be a true statement, okay? Based on everything that I've read, everything that I've seen. Your efficiency parameter is a separate thing. Do not think of your damage that you're doing as your efficiency, okay? The efficiency parameter on the weapon will determine your overall loot value when you get back, or go into the calculations. However, what determines your loot composition is the amount that you spend killing a mob, okay? You can have the highest efficiency weapon, but if you're hunting a mob that requires you to constantly heal, you're wearing armor, and all that sort of stuff, then you're not going to be efficient, okay? Like, if you've got let's say you have something like this FEN, okay? Let's look at these. Let's say you have this LR FEN edition, right? Damage per peck is 3.3. So you can do some decent damage like damage per peck, right? But damage per second, it's half of the 8.1, okay? So just because it has more damage per peck than the LR105 does not mean you will be able to use this to go after something that you would go after with the LR105, okay? So what you need to do is you need to find the right mob, and you need to be you need to be figuring out, okay, do I need armor for starters? If you do not need armor, don't use armor. Okay? Do I need a heal? No? Awesome. Do I have a quicker weapon with a lower decay and a lower ammo costs, like a pistol compared to a rifle? You know, so you can use less PEC, you know, per shot to hopefully, instead of killing a mob that has 10 health, instead of killing it with 100 and instead of killing it with 14 damage, you're able to get as close to that 10 damage. Okay? You hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? The less it costs to kill, the better your overall loot composition will be. However, if the weapon that you're using, if you're able to upgrade that weapon and get a weapon with the same sort of damage per pack, right, the same sort of stuff, but with a higher efficiency, then you will get more like TT value loot overall. So you want to try to get both, okay? But you need to find a good middle ground for yourself. But that's all that I'm going to be saying. So for those of you that watch Stevie B's stuff, I'm not going to tell you not to watch his stuff. There is a lot of stuff that Stevie B says that I 100% agree with. When it comes to this, I do not agree with. Okay? And the fact that he can look at all this information and, you know, all of this, just all the weapons, and see that damage per pack can vary wildly versus the efficiency. Because he is able to see this, he used this website to try to prove his point. But because he just looked at it and was like, no, I need to be right. That's one of the reasons why now he's a little bit lower on my trust scale. I used to really trust his advice, but now, just because of this, just because he couldn't say, yo, I was wrong, it turns out this is more like this. You know, separate stuff. Even if he was to turn around and say, you know, it's not the efficiency of the weapon, but overall efficiency that determines loot composition, then I'll be like, okay, cool, I agree. Because it is overall efficiency that determines loot composition, but not the efficiency parameter on a weapon. The efficiency parameter on a weapon determines your TT loot value that you get back. So just keep this in mind. Now, it might come out. Mindark might come out in like a week from now and say, oh, actually, no, the efficiency, you know, is based on your damage per pack. You know, that is how it works. Obviously not based on the actual, you know, evidence, but they might, you know, and then I would have to roll back and be like, I'm sorry, you know. But from what Mindark has said now, from the actual data, no. And just to reiterate, for those of you that are saying, oh, but you know, these other parameters, damage per pack is calculated based off of the cost. Okay, so if with the decay and the ammunition burn together, you're able to come out with 3.52 damage per pack spent, that is what it is. Okay? So just keep all of this in mind. I want you guys to make sure that you're getting proper information. I'm not too big of an informationally guy. However, I have been seeing just a lot of misinformation, and I myself have been caught up in the misinformation before. You know, I was one of these people that thought that efficiency parameter was determined by damage per peck and damage per second. But it's not true. It's not true. You know, I now know that the two are completely separate things. Could there be correlation? Yes, but correlation does not mean causation. Now, with all of that being said, I do hope you guys got some information out of this video, and I'm hoping that I can put this to bed. Okay, I'm hoping I can put this to bed. I know I'm one of the bigger people that play EU on YouTube, so I'm hoping some of you guys that watch this, that have also watched Stevie B's video, and Stevie, dude, if you watch this to the end, please, there's nothing wrong with saying I was wrong or saying I was confused. I know like personal integrity is a really big thing, right? Personal integrity, whether or not you're you've got, you know, you're the smartest voice in the room, the biggest brain in the room. But dude, you gotta humble yourself sometimes. There's nothing wrong with saying, yo, I was wrong about this. And I'm just bringing you guys the evidence, okay? Just the damage per peck versus the efficiency parameter thing in the wiki should be enough to show you that it's not correlative. Yes, the LR series, you can say that it's correlative, but through the whole thing, there is no correlation. There is no correlation. But what is efficiency? Like good old boy Josh said. Let me just bring this shit back up. Like Josh said, this is to make higher end weapons more desirable. It's a progression incentive, not something that is hard coded to produce a certain value. And that, dear viewer, is what I believe determines most of it. Sure, there's some correlation. Some. But it's not causation. At the end of the day, it is a number that they just have to put on the weapon to determine this. And trust me, if you can find a weapon with like similar efficiencies, but one's like super hard to find and one's really easy to get, no one will fucking want to go and hunt after that bigger weapon, so they have to make it so the bigger weapon, like the better weapon, the more rare weapon will have better overall efficiency. Even if it's got the same damage per pack. Or even worse damage per pack. It might have worse damage per pack, but better efficiency, as we've seen in that little video that I showed you. Anyway, that's enough. I have said it to death. You guys should understand. If you got any more confusion, just, you can comment below, all that sort of stuff, and I'll be able to clarify specific points. But anyway, you all take care. No, I don't hate Stevie B. Yes, I think he's wrong. Yes, he should come out and be like, yo, I'm sorry. If he did that, then, you know, respect, back up. But at the moment, he said something wrong. He tried to double down on it, even when the evidence is there. You know, and you gotta humble yourself. When you know it's wrong, you just gotta admit it. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you guys tonight for the live stream.